So I had got invited somewhere Friday night. Now, at first I wasn't going to go because, after working all day, I'm getting old. I don't like to go out, right? But, I ain't seen my homeboy in a minute and we needed to talk, right? He needed to vent. So I said, all right, cool. So we go out, right? And he wanted to go to like a bar setting and get some drinks, but I've been trying to cut back on the drinking. I ain't had a drink in like a month. And I could see my face going down. That drinking just put too much inflammation in your body. So I'm taking a break, but I know he needed to vent. So I am sitting in a bar but can't drink, right? So, but I'm supporting my homeboy. So he's opening up. Mind you, my homeboy has been married now for 6 years. And so, I knew he wanted to vent, but I didn't know that he wanted to vent about his wife. Right? Because I'm slick, kind of cool with her, not best friends but cordial, and it's kind of hard. Like, I don't want to hear about y'all personal because then it's going to make me look at her differently, and I ain't trying to do that. But he's my homeboy, so obviously my loyalty is to him. But he has a little bit one too many. Before I even pulled up, he was already saucy. You dig? And then so we ain't seen each other in a while. So, he comes up to me, he gives me a hug, and that's weird because my male friends don't hug me, and it's like now my breast is on his breast because he a big dude, and we're breast to breast, right? And so I'm like, bro. But he's sloppy, right? So I'm like, bro, let's have a seat. And I'm telling the bartender, can we get this man some water, please? Get me a water too. You know what I mean? I'm trying to sober him up. So he looks over at me and he's like, I don't want to be with this bitch no more. And I'm like, first of all, you want to vent about your wife, but I am not the divorce friend. You dig? I talk to people about either cheating on their spouse or just leaving, but like, making it work, go to therapy, but like divorce, like, so mind you, I didn't think it was that bad because I'm believing what I see on the internet. Mind you, you're never supposed to believe what you see on the internet, but I'm seeing the happy couple the pics and they always on vacation and I'm just like, all right, so obviously you can't believe none of that shit. So I said, well, bro, what's wrong? Like, why are you talking this way? And he goes, because I know that bitch cheating on me. So now it gets interesting. Now I am fully invested because I'm like, show me proof, because don't just lead with she's cheating on you. I need to see evidence. So this man gonna tell me he hired a PI. For you slow people who don't know, that's a private investigator. So he hired someone and I'm looking at him like, bro, you could have hired me. Like, this is what I do. Like, no one pays me, but I still do it, so to get paid would be lovely. So I told him, I said, well, bro, why didn't you just hire me? Like, I could have followed her, I love this shit, And so he's like, he wanted to keep it separate from friends and family. And I'm like, but you could call me to the bar when knowing I can't drink to tell me when I could have already been on it, bro. But whatever. So I never looked at her and thought she would cheat on my homeboy. But I used to look at her and be like, why is she with my homeboy? Right? Like I said, he got breasts. Right? That's the first thing. And I understand men with breasts still get women, but not typically women who look like her. So let's start there. And so I thought she was a gold digger because my homeboy does have money. He has a great career. And he inherited some money down the line and he has money, right? So I'm like, well, bro, what's up? So he told me he hired a PI to follow his wife. And don't be in my comments talking about, you just get out here and tell all your friends business. Duh, bitch, are you new here? Yes, I do. But it's okay because I hang out with a lot of people who are older than me. And for some strange reason, people, once you hit a certain age, y'all don't do TikTok and shit. I ain't got to worry about them watching me. But anyway, and if they do come across it, bitch, oh well, shit. This is what I do. This is how I make my money. But anyway, so, we're going to move along. And if you don't want me to make videos about you, bitch, don't tell me your business, right? It's up for grabs. But anyway, so he's like, yeah, he hired the PI and they followed her and she was making like these late night stops, places other than home to her husband, right? And I won't get into detail of where he followed her to, but just to tell you that it's a place where people be fucking, right? So put two and two together. So anyway, so she goes there Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Okay, I did figure that out. And those were the days that were lining up with her telling him that she had to work late, right? So we did see pictures of the gentleman that she has been engaging in these extramarital activities with. I don't recognize the man, but I will say he's the complete opposite of my homeboy, right? So which means it makes me believe that obviously she probably married him for other reasons than looks, because you can tell that she was messing around with someone else that probably more her type than my homeboy, right? So I know what you're thinking. So why 6 years? There's something about a bigger man who seems to, like Biggie pulled Faith, right? I don't know if you guys watch Streamer University, and I don't know if it's real with Pudgy and Dream Doll, but shit happens, right? I know they just doing it for content, but if it was real, a big dark-skinned nigga with titties can pull a beautiful light-skinned woman. It has happened. Same thing that happened to my homeboy. You know, when he first introduced me to his wife, I was like, damn, I had to like look away, because if I stared too hard, I might fall for the bitch. You dig what I'm saying? So I just had to like look at her with one eye, right? And don't give her too much eye contact, because she was beautiful. And then, not that my homeboy is not a no comment, but what I will say is I didn't know how that came about, you know. And I like them stories of, how did you meet, you know, because I didn't know if she was like one of them people who needed a green card. And I'm not trying to talk bad about my homeboy. I'm just saying, how did this happen, right? And why doesn't it happen for me, you know? But anyway, but that's not the point, because that's me being jealous of my homeboy, and I'm never jealous of my friends, right? He just pisses me off from time to time. But anyway, so moving on. She basically, the moral of the story is, bitch, if you feel like somebody's cheating, hire a PI. Because usually if you feel like they're cheating, they are. But to have that hardcore evidence that you can lay down on the table when it comes time to like splitting assets and, you know, divorce proceedings, and you can lay the pictures down on the table, like, boom, gotcha, bitch. It's like he's gonna walk away with everything, I think. I don't know how that works, but drop a comment if you're a divorce lawyer. But she was caught red-handed at the 6-year mark. Now, usually they say it's the 7-year itch. It's the 6-year march. Now, so me, I'm trying to console my homeboy in a non-pause kind of way. Now, I know it's not really pause because I'm a girl, but I'm a girl boy. So you gotta think of it the same way as if it's two men consoling each other with titties, right? So I look over at him and I'm like, bro, whatever you need me to do, I'm here for you. So this nigga gonna look at me and say, I need you to talk to her for me. And I looked back at him and said, I don't think that I'm the right person to do that. Like, but my homeboy don't got sisters, you know? And I'm like, bro, I can't. But if I would have, the words I would say, first of all, how you gonna do this to my homeboy? Right. Second of all, bitch, if you was gonna cheat, like, why would you pick this nigga? You know what I mean? Like, I just have so many questions, right? And so then I don't think I would just, I declined, because my questions wouldn't have been in my homeboy's favor. You know, my question would have been more in my favor. And I know that's fucked up, right? I get it. And I don't mean more in my favor, like, why didn't you cheat with me? No, of course not. Of course not. But there was one time where I thought Shorty was feeling me. She used to look at me crazy. Like in a way. She used to look at me like, you know, and I told you, one eye. I'd never look at her with both. One eye, I used to be like, oh, shit. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those things where she be giving me those eyes like, I know you want me. And I'd be like, no, I don't. And then to myself, I'd be like, this bitch knows everything. She just be everywhere, right? But no, you know. But basically, I really didn't know how. I know this video is just a bunch of nothing, but I really didn't know how to, like, be there for him. So I rubbed his back. That's my new thing now. I like rubbing niggas' backs for some strange reason. But he did not give me a 50. So that was an epic fail, because he actually has a lot of money and I just don't understand. But I did. I tried to see if it was going to work in his time of need, if he would have like bought me something or whatever, like at the bar, like a non-alcoholic Shirley fucking Temple. I don't know. But so I rubbed his back and I tried to console him. And then he leaned over, and girl, I always got jokes. I know this video's about to end. I'm running out of time, but I always got jokes. I noticed the way he leaned over when I rubbed his back. He looked like he was about to start crying. His titties hit the bar. So I'm looking to see if anybody else is noticing this, because it's like, bro, you should never lay that close to the bar that your titties is on top of the bar. He looked like an oversized woman in that moment. And at that point, I no longer knew how to console him. So drop a comment of some encouraging words and I'll pass it along to him.